Let's see if we get IO or series. This is using ranked probability for location, so 50% Mars, 25% IO, 25% series. So we'll have to see what RNG decides to give us, and it is Mars. Yet again, we have robots, scavengers, the redesigned elites, and the new faction from Continuous Innovation, the inventors. Inventors have a really interesting ability in the fact that they can retrofit normal buildings, and they can change those normal buildings to consume a different number of inputs or produce a different amount of outputs from the basic building. Now, we don't have a lot of carbon here, so scavengers aren't looking super great, and the iron's also pretty awkward as well. Not to mention water. This over here is the best water patch, it looks like, but it's not next to much iron or silicon. Yeah, RNG just says Mars only so far.
A robotics HQ
Pavlos is going to take the robot right over here next to the aluminum and go for the iron. That seems to be a decent found trap. Going to try out the new elite. Going for a silicon-based elite. Death Tactic is picking out that scavenger spot over there that I think I pointed out. That was the best looking scavenger spot, and then PB Head taking another robot. Going to go for a power robot a little bit, but power's really low, so I'm not sure that's actually going to work out. Palace gets to HQ2, Trat also at HQ2. So elites, if you didn't see the video, they have a decent amount of changes from the base game. Our personal problem for those of us designing continuous innovation was that the elites are kind of like a late game boom or bust faction. You get into the really late game and you're really strong, or you don't get into the really late game and you really can't do anything with them, which is why you almost never see them being played in 1v1s in high-level competitive play. So the goal of the redesign of the elite was to make them competitive in both high-level 1v1s and FFAs, and we'll have to see if we succeeded in that redesign at all. So they require less steel to upgrade, and then they're when they build advanced buildings, the next advanced building is reduced in cost, and then when they optimize, you can acquire 2 technologies or optimizations to get 10% off your next optimizations instead of getting the claims. And then they keep their patent lab and extra starting share, and then they also use silicon instead of aluminum for constructing buildings, so that way they have a unique role to play. Now we can see PB Head is struggling a little bit with this solar robot start. Power robot. Not quite has all the steel purchased up that he needs. 8.5k, has 7k, needs another 1.5k to go. Did purchase some iron. Death Tactics and HQ2 scavengers remain unchanged from the base game. Pavlos also HQ2, going hard into steel. If you had finally getting HQ2, going to move into some steel, I would imagine. Now that power is finally going up in price, Trat is the first HQ3, and Pavlos following not too far behind. So if Trat can keep his debt under check, this spot actually seems to be pretty decent for the elite here. And with those guaranteed patents, those licensing patents, Trat can get whatever patent you want. Teleportation, yes. Carbon scrubbing, yes. So they might not need carbon scrubbing, but nanotech, superconductor, yep, always can get those as an elite. So we do have an extra claim auction going off here. We'll see if our players want to bid it up as high as they've been going in the past, or if they're going to take it into the 20s 16k to PB Head definitely would have been too low, but anything north of the 20s, 24,000 to Tacticus would be fine. It might be worth a little bit more.
Sold.
But Death Tacticus does take it for $24,000. Yeah, I do expect the elite changes to be the most controversial in continuous innovation, would be my guess. But you really don't see elites being played in competitive 1v1 tournaments whatsoever. People play them in ranked queue, and that's fine, but you're not really playing against somebody who, you know, necessarily at your skill level when you go into 1v1 and ranked queue. You're not as guaranteed simply because there's not a big enough player base. But PB Head, back to the game, PB Head a little bit behind HQ2, using some solar to boost those electronics. Death Tacticus moving into wind. Nope, sorry, that's not Death Tacticus, that's Pavlos putting down that wind. Death Tacticus the only one who doesn't have power online. Only $38,000 in debt, so just fine. Needs 19k for the upgrade, has 8 in fuel instead of food, but making a decent amount of money there, so should be able to upgrade with not too much difficulty. Just needs the aluminum to come in. A nuke on Death Tacticus water. This water's definitely one of those things that's going to be dangerous for Death Tacticus moving forward, but does have a nuke that he can throw right back at Pavlos if Pavlos has anything that DT wants to nuke, and the answer right now is probably no. Strat HQ3 needs 30k for the upgrade, waiting on that steel to come in, which was frozen.
A robotics HQ has been upgraded.
Almost has no debt with the solar panels. PB Head finally upgrading to HQ3. And Run has no money for aluminum for the electronics factories. What is PB Head going for? PB Head's going for has a metal mine turned off, going to take some water, and then going to move into 2 farms. Makes perfect sense. That Tacticus does have a pleasure dome on the way, disguised as an optimization center. Not sure that's going to fool anyone, but there goes that water getting nuked out. And that's definitely going to be a weak spot of Death Tacticus is found here, is this water. Circuit overload only going to $8,000 to Pavlos. Pavlos right now in lead in cash on hand, but Trat not too far behind as the elite here. Trat 30k to upgrade, has 21. Pavlos 33k to upgrade, has 30. So Pavlos is going to be able to upgrade very, very shortly. I will need to rotate these wind turbines out into something else. PB Head also might think about rotating out these solar panels, and then Trat also still needs to rotate out some solar panels, as these are all 3 or 2 claims by all the players, not really doing anything. Pavlos, it's first to HQ4 as a robot, which is where you want to be, either ahead of the elite or tied with the other robots. That still generally holds true with the redesigned elites.
The black market is open for business.
Let's see, we did look at the upgrade prices for everyone while Death Tacticus beat me. To looking at the prices, it did upgrade, now moving into glass, and glass is a really good market. Going hard into some farms over here. This crater's pretty cramped, pretty small, which is why you didn't want to pick it up for very much money.
An elite HQ has been upgraded.
Trat not too far behind onto HQ4, and PB Head lagging a little bit, but I have to wonder if PB Head's thinking about making a early majority buy once again. Pavlos actually might be a good target, or Death Tacticus, for some sort of early majority buy shenanigans, if PB Head decides to do so. Not making much money from these solar panels. I'm not sure that PB Head has the income needed to pull it off. PB had got rid of the solar panels and put down some steel. Could think about it, but instead going to go the safe route, upgrade HQ4. Can't argue with that. That upgrade was quite expensive. That Tacticus has the first patent lab out and disguised as a glass kiln, but that did not fool Pavlos whatsoever. Then an adrenaline boost over here on that Tacticus's Pleasure Dome, which is making $436 with the Pleasure Dome without anything, and we have circuit overload, the check, the iron, and then the Tacticus nuking it. High iron down to low. Carbon scrubbing patent has come out. Interesting choice for the auction AI to pick, as carbon's pretty low and there is plenty of carbon with all of this dry ice everywhere. Players still staying in power a lot. I guess other markets are hard to get into, but I mean, it's not like Trat needs to worry about silicon as long as this doesn't get nuked out. You can move out of these solar panels into maybe some glass, or perhaps some more life support, food, or even more steel. But Trat is going to go for the Elite Pleasure Dome. The Elite Pleasure Dome is one of the buildings that's been changed. The Elite Pleasure Dome doesn't consume chemicals, only gives 150% boost instead of a 200% boost, and also only counts as one Pleasure Dome instead of two, so they're easier to compete against. 2 patent labs for that Tacticus. I guess as one keeps on getting blown up, that Tacticus wants to make sure that he gets the patents that he wants. Really wants teleportation, and I cannot blame him. That would make these remote farms much better and easier to use. PB Head has a decent amount of cash on hand, almost right in the pack with the Tacticus and Pavlos. The Tacticus over here could upgrade to HQ5 if he wanted, but is in C debt. Thinking machines and teleportation, both of those are being queued. There are black market cooldowns for everybody except Trat and Pavlos, though Pavlos is almost here if they wanted to go against that. Trat moving into a patent lab of his own, going to get teleportation thanks to licensing, so Death Tacticus is going to get some chemicals for that, assuming Pavlos or somebody else does not knock out one of Death Tacticus' 2 patent labs. Nope, teleportation to Death Tacticus, but Trat is just going to continue to gain teleportation, and we have another patent lab blown up, but that's not going to stop Death Tacticus from getting thinking machines.
A robotics HQ has been
Pavlos,
upgraded.
first HQ5, does have some goon water, does have Death Tacticus water spied out, which doesn't have any more goons on it. Let's see, Trat over here has enough money to upgrade if he wants to. A lot of that's in steel, and Trat's been selling down steel with only 2 steel mills, which seems like a little bit too little. As you normally, even with the lower steel upgrades, gives you 280 instead of the normal 320.
The black market is online.
Sometimes you can get away with it as the Elite, sometimes you cannot. That silicon and solar is going to be frozen by PB Head. PB Head over here, everyone kind of ignoring PB Head. Trat picking up teleportation, so no longer has to worry about doing any shipping. And now moving into virtual reality, wants to make his Pleasure Dome the best Pleasure Dome on the map. And Pavlos just really has it in for Death Tacticus, nuking out as much of Death Tacticus carbon as possible. Pavlos also took the carbon scrubbing, and well, PB-Head's gonna buy into Death Tacticus, and Death Tacticus was thinking about going to Pavlos, but now Death Tacticus is going to have to defend himself from PB-Head's attack. And PB-Head's attack's not going to work. Death Tacticus does have plenty of money, just needs to sell some stuff. So this is a waste of time for PB-Head, unless everybody else was going to get in right on it and purchase at the same time. But no, Death Tacticus will defend himself, still can take the upgrade. $28,000, most of that in aluminum. Carbon is still really cheap. These, when Death Tacticus upgrades, if he needs more carbon, can move into some dry ice over here or over here. So not the end of the world, especially with teleportation. Not what you want to see. Now power's getting really high. I have to imagine this is because of power hacks from PB-Head, and yes it is. PB-Head doing the power hacks, Pavlos with the boost on the wind turbines, and that's making a ridiculous amount of money, $2,000 per second with that dust storm and the boost. That's pretty good money into Pavlos' pocket right now. PB-Head still staying in Death Tacticus instead of pulling out and upgrading. I really don't think that's the right move from PB-Head here. PB-Head just doesn't have the money in cash income needed to get $200,000 to buy out Death Tacticus. Death Tacticus moving into a off-world market so I can get out of that Pleasure Dome competition. Slant drilling auction coming out. Yes, as Dubin points out, Pavlos might be able to take out Death Tacticus with PB-Head's help, but if you're PB-Head, I don't know why you would want to help Pavlos take out Death Tacticus, as that will just help Pavlos get more in the lead, I would think.
The black market is online.
So it still is a curious decision for PB-Head to stay in Death Tacticus, I'd have to think. As Pavlos would get the 2 claims for making the purchase. He had almost able to pay off all of his debt. Pavlos moving into a off-world as well. People are hunting for that off-world, but missed it with the network virus. The Tacticus boosting his own off-world. Okay, Death Tacticus does have a geotherm, so it does have some power production on, but just the one. And this really high power price that PB-Head's keeping is from these hacks. Definitely making it painful for everybody else. Trap moving into thinking machines, thinking about getting this off-world race. We should actually check and see what the off-worlds are. $48,000 launches, so that off-world market's pretty good. Going to cost Trap a pretty penny to get in, $138,000 for the first off-world. That second off-world will be 10% off. And Elite still have the ability to get 3 off-worlds up, but Tret doesn't. I don't think Tret has enough income right now to get 3 off-worlds up with these prices all around or north of $200 for all the off-world constructing materials. Pavlos moving into 2 off-worlds, deciding to spend all that cash in the off-world. A lot of that cash is being fed to Pavlos by PB-Head from these power hacks. That's another mistake that I think PB-Head's making. You don't want to feed the person in the lead more power money. But PB-Head no longer is hacking power, now going into silicon. PB-Head actually getting only $100,000 away, $130,000 away from taking out Death Tacticus. The problem is Pavlos is right around the same amount away, although a decent chunk of that money is tied up in this off-world that is being constructed.
Look at all the money. optimization routine successful.
Trat over here. Going to be making some power money pretty soon. Going into carbon scrubbing. Has that optimization center up but isn't using it. Was optimizing steel. Has those 2 pleasure domes though, and those pleasure domes are making a pretty good amount of money. 270 each. That's nice and constant. Pablo says, you know what? PB Head stock is cheap. PB Head's HQ4. I'm gonna buy into PB Head. And this is where PB Head keeping all that money tied up in Death Tactics for so long might have been a mistake. Well, now Pablo's thinking better of it. And Pablo's getting nuked out here underneath the off-world, so PB Head does know that it is, or suspected it was an off-world. That Tacticus knows, and that Tacticus is quite happy to blow it up. Carbon scrubbing for Trat. Trat going into a hologram off-world of his own. I'm really not sure that PB Head can get a win on HQ4 in this game. It worked last game when we saw it, but PB Head's opponents here aren't in as bad position. There's still more nukes going out. Pablo's is finally getting nuked out. And adrenaline boost coming out for that Tacticus on his off-world. 41k launches. Adrenaline boost out on Pablo's off-world. PB's now going to switch gears and purchase into Pablo's. Death Tacticus says, I'll help with that. So if PB Head is thinking about actually going against Pablo's instead, then selling out of Death Tacticus would be a good idea. Trat says, you know what, everybody else, you fight amongst yourselves. I'm going to purchase up my own stock and try and get in the late game where I can maybe get some of the advantages from Elite, from getting cheaper optimizations. And maybe use the cheaper off-worlds, although with off-world so high, 10% off, doesn't really do much in terms of getting that actually built. Pablo's all of a sudden with a ginormous amount of cash, and Pablo's doing very well in this tournament, 70% of the way to purchasing out Death Tacticus. 71%, sorry, PB had 50% on Death Tacticus. Now PB had probably regretting staying on HQ4 for so long, as so many of these markets are above $200, even $300, and PB just doesn't have the claims to keep up with the production. Pablo's will soon be able to purchase PB Head. 95% of the way there, that off-road gets blown up by the Tacticus. A delaying strategy at the moment. Even Trat is in danger of being shift bought by Pablo's, with Pablo's having a ginormous amount of money. There's not enough attacking on Pablo's earlier, I'd have to think. His off-roads keep on getting destroyed, and they cost a very decent penny to repair, but Pablo says, you know what, I don't need to repair that off-road. I'm going to have to buy any time now. Just waiting for this launch to go off. Only 22, actually launching the wrong thing now.
Launch affirmative. What a payout.
Death Tacticus has a second off-road out. We'll see if Death Tacticus and Trat together can take out Pablo's. Now what you need is for the player with less earning income potential to buy out more of the shares than the other player. And right now it's kind of hard to tell who has the lower earning potential. Trat is closer to the buy, according to those percentages. Trat needs 700,000. The Tacticus needs 700,000. 760 versus 700. Trat's halfway there. Look at that boost on those solar condensers. Still optimizing, optimize oxygen all the way. And that those boosted solar condensers are out, but these are still making 600 per tile. Well, 500 now, and that's only 200 less than that off-world. So that's pretty good for a non-off-world single tile. Pavlos finally rebuilding this off-world. That's going to be quite painful. 44k launches though.
Screw with us.
But
We'll screw with you.
$90,000 repair, more give or take, for Pavlos there. Trat's off-world has been blown up, but Trat does have thinking machines. I thought. Yes, Trat does have thinking machines, so the repair costs will be far lower for Trat. Half off from having thinking machines, and it next to Trat's headquarters. Trat is 60% of the way of the buy on Pavlos.
The off-world market is finished and awaiting orders.
Very, very close. Let's see, Trat needs 700,000, need 200,000 more. Pavlos needs 400,000 more. So it looks like Trat will be able to split Pavlos with Det Tacticus. And then the question is, will Det Tacticus have enough money to take out Trat after?
Continue to improve.
Det Tacticus sitting on a nice cash stockpile.
Launch affirmative. What a payout.
So, looks like that Tacticus will be in a decent position to do that play. Excuse me, I need some water. Trat rotating 3 tiles. 90% of the way to the buy, only needs $100,000 more. Pavlos is going to increase the stock price by purchasing into Trat, but that's not going to just going to delay the inevitable, it looks like. Or allow Det Tacticus to purchase Trat, which would then make things very, very interesting. Det Tacticus over here sitting on a nice cash stockpile, and Det Tacticus is going to take out Trat there. Taking advantage of Pavlos purchasing into Det Tacticus, I'm sorry, Trat. So now 2 off-worlds versus 2 off-worlds. More stock, but a higher stock price. And a subsidiary that's making $1,000 a second, but has not upgraded yet. Let's see, Det Tacticus needs 900,000, Pavlos needs 800,000, so roughly neck and neck. Det Tacticus does have the slight advantage in cash on hand. Earning potential is close. Kind of hard to tell. Power hacks are coming through again. Pavlos is making out better off of those power hacks. Tacticus is going hard into power, does not want Pavlos to get all that power money, and might be able to survive that as these power surges are $70,000. Neck and neck and cash on hand, and Pavlos needs a little bit left. Another nuke coming out onto Det Tacticus water. The off-world is back up and running. Det Tacticus pulling into the lead here.
Successful off-world shipment.
This is going to be very close and might come completely down to off-world timings. Well, let's double check that. 638 versus 800. It's still going to be pretty close. Pavlos are neck and neck. This subsidiary may decide, and as Dubin points out, and It's gonna upgrade soon. Maybe. They can't... maybe. If PB Head upgrades, that might swing it towards that Tacticus. I don't know what the logic is for upgrading, but as you can see, 183 for the upgrade has 140, so that upgrade's gonna come very soon. It doesn't look like it's gonna come soon enough for Death Tacticus. That launch does take it, and then PB Head Pablos taking the game once again. Pablos going on a roll, that 20k stock difference making a very big difference. PB Head, despite those shenanigans, HQ4 still made quite a lot of money. Over 100,000 more than Trat. Relatively tied with Death Tacticus, although that's FFA ranks being very conservative there, giving them the same sort of tie. And we can see Trat tied with Death Tacticus, neck and neck in cash on hand, and then Pavlos able to take it. So that explained the rankings there. Take a look at the charts and graphs really quick. Pavlos able to make $443,000 in dividend revenue. That right there was the difference for Pavlos getting that early buy on PB Head. Trat with almost $400,000 in entertainment revenue. But Death Tacticus deciding that he thought he could outrace Pavlos after buying out Trat. Might not have been the right decision, but it's really hard to tell what the counterfactual would have been in that case.